How has your life been impacted by your father or the lack thereof? If we are going to change the world and make it a better place, if we're going to have better marriages and stronger families, if we're going to save our children, I believe it starts with fathers. So in this episode of Manhood Mondays, I want to talk to you about the importance of fatherhood. When it comes to raising children, both parents are important to the child's mental and emotional development, right? But mothers and fathers play a different role in the development of the child. Okay, fathers are not more important than mothers, but neither are they less important, right? The child needs both the mother and the father. Now I understand that mothers get more fanfare on Mother's Day than fathers do on Father's Day. But if you are a father, I hope you know that how you parent will directly affect your child's development. Okay, when a father is out of place, meaning the father is not being a loving father, right? Whether it is because of ignorance, abuse, or he's just absent altogether, there will be a ripple effect. And it starts in the family and then it shows up in society. I believe it is the reason why we see so many school shootings. Right? I believe it's the reason that men don't respect women. It is the reason that men so often show up to adulthood unprepared for adult relationships. Now, I'm not saying that a child raised by a great father, then there's a guarantee that the child won't go off the rails. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that the most effective way to destroy a family, which is where the child develops, the most effective way to destroy a family is through the father, right? So to all of you men who are fathers or one day intend to be a father, I hope that what I'm sharing here will give you some insight and hopefully help you be a better father and a better man altogether, right? So when I say fathers are important, I think most people would agree with that, right? Most people agree that fathers are important. But why are fathers important, right? What is the role of a father? Well, if we speak in general terms like umbrella concept, the role of the father is to protect, instill discipline, and teach responsibility. Yeah, in general, if someone was to ask me like, what are the main roles of a father? To protect, instill discipline, and teach responsibility. Yeah. When it comes to protection, this is I'm not only talking about physical protection, but I'm also talking about emotional, mental, and spiritual protection, right? Your protection of their emotions, that's so that they can grow up to be healthy, whole adults. Because if you're honest, like most of us adults who have relationship issues, we got emotional issues. Right? So you want to protect your child's emotions and then you protect their minds. How do you protect their mind? You protect their minds by teaching them how to do life on this planet. You protect their minds by teaching them how to use their mind, how to think rationally, how to solve problems, right? How to get out of situations. That's how you protect their mind. And then spiritually, you protect them spiritually by teaching them who God is, but also by praying over them consistently and with them, right? That's how you protect. That's how you protect their emotions. You protect them mentally and you protect them spiritually, right? And just so you know, you will harm your child in all three of these areas if you are absent or you are not emotionally well, right? So you being absent, you not being in your child's life, or you not being involved in your child's life like you know you should be, you're gonna harm them in all three of those areas. Yeah. If you're not emotionally whole, if you're emotionally immature, like most men are, you are going to harm them in these three areas, right? In order to protect in these areas effectively, as a father, you have to make sure that you are emotionally whole. You have to make sure that you are good mentally. You have to make sure that you are spiritually sound. Right? You cannot give your children what you don't have. You can't raise them to be different than who you are without changing who you are. All right? You can't do that. So not only protection, but fathers are also responsible for presenting what I believe to be a healthy picture of discipline and responsibility. Discipline is now, when I say discipline and responsibility, I'm not talking about the consequences you give your children when they mess up. Right? That is very much needed. But the reason you do that is so that you can develop self-discipline in them, right? You want to develop discipline in them. And so you handle, consequences, but the goal is not, it's not the consequence, it's the lesson that you're trying to teach, right? And let me say this while I'm on this, there's a difference between punishment and discipline, right? A lot of times we think we're disciplining our child, but we're actually punishing them, right? Punishment is about giving you pain for something you did that I don't like. Discipline, on the other hand, discipline is about teaching your child how to do life, right? The goal of punishment is pain. The goal of discipline is productivity, right? The goal of discipline is to help you be a better person after this. With pain, you just hurt. Okay, just that hurt. And I didn't really learn anything. Okay. As a father, it is your job to help your child develop self-discipline, right? Especially if you have a son, right? An undisciplined man, I believe, is just chaos waiting to happen. Okay. And let me say this too. This is for all parents, by the way. Because I hate when parents, my parents were strict growing up, or when I come in contact with parents, they say they're strict on their children. I'm strict and I know I'm strict. Listen, you don't have to be strict on a child. You don't have to be mean and you don't have to be disrespectful in order to help your child develop self-discipline and responsibility, right? I'm going to say that again. There's no reason for you to be strict with your child if the goal is to develop self-discipline and responsibility. You don't have to be disrespectful. Like, growing up in the Black neighborhood, or in my house and Black culture back in the day, especially like in the 70s, maybe 80s, it was more sit down and shut up. Do this because I said so. You don't question me. You know what messed me up when I was younger? Knowing that I could never question my parents because you would get hit in the mouth. But then reading the Bible, because I couldn't question my parents, I automatically assumed I couldn't question God. And I believe that may have even been promoted. But anyway, I read the Bible and I see Gideon asking God all kind of questions. That threw me off. But as a child, I couldn't reconcile it. And so it was just, but my point is, you don't have to be strict or mean or disrespectful in order to develop self-discipline and responsibility into your children. I'm gonna do a separate video and specifically talk about parenting so that I could go deeper into that issue, right? Yeah. So, but now the most effective way for you to help your child develop self-discipline and to become more responsible is by you modeling it for them. Yeah. In other words, dads, you have to show them what self-discipline looks like, right? You have to model for them how to delay gratification when they need to delay gratification. You can't disrespect their mom and then expect your son to respect women, right? You have to show them what responsibility looks like. And again, punishing them for not being responsible is not teaching them how to be responsible. That doesn't teach that. Because we live in a world of instant gratification and comfort, if fathers don't raise children to have these life skills, they more than likely won't develop them until way later in life, right? This then will cause your child to suffer when they don't have to. Now, you may be thinking, well, can't the mom teach the child these things? She can. She can teach these things, but the thing is, the father's absence will have a greater impact than mom's voice. So it's still going to fall back on the father, right? And so dads, if you would get in your place, right? If you haven't been doing well up until this point, listen, you're still alive. Make a change. Why? Because your children didn't ask to come here. And I'm talking about people who are still parenting young children. Obviously, I have a different message for folk with grown children like me. But if you're still raising little children, be more involved in their life. Your presence matters, not just your presence. Because when I say presence, I automatically am building into that your involvement, right? I don't mean just your physical presence in the home, but your involvement in their life, that's crucial for them. It's gonna make a big difference. But now watch this. The most significant thing, the most significant reason that fathers are important is because the father determines identity. Yeah, the father is the one that determines identity. We can see it, we see it from the beginning, right? So when you think about the creation story, it was the man who identified. It was the man who named all the animals. And it was the man who named Eve. He named the woman, right? When we get married, the wife and the children take on the husband's last name. Why am I saying that? Because these can be symbolic of the impact of the father on your identity, right? These can be symbolic of how impactful the father is on determining your identity, right? How a man fathers his child will directly affect who the child believes they are, without question, right? People will always behave in a way that is consistent with who they believe they are. So when you see someone acting a certain way, or when you see your child acting a certain way, it's because that's who they believe they are. And you got to ask yourself as a father, is that what I communicated to them? Right? When the person who is most like God to the child, which is dad, when the person who is most like God tells the child that they can be whatever they want to be, they believe him. But watch this. If he tells the child that you're not good enough, the child gonna believe that too. But what's more important than what a father says is how the father treats them. Yeah, how your father treats you communicates what he thinks about you, and it shapes who you believe you are. Right? You believe that you're weak, or do you believe you're strong? Do you believe you're good, or do you believe you're bad? You believe you're smart or not? Like, what do you believe about you? Now, when you answer that, think about what you believed your father thought of you, and then ask yourself, do these two match? Yeah. See, how you love your child will help them develop and form their identity. For example, if you yell at a child, they may develop the belief that they deserve to be yelled at. And if they do that, then they're also going to develop the belief that they're not good enough. This belief then becomes the belief that speaks to who they believe they are. And so then they're going to live their life from a place of believing they're not good enough. How do I know? It's what I see in my office all the time, every day. The core belief of I'm not good enough. And usually it's because a father somewhere wasn't there to protect or speaking to or nurture this child in a way where they would know who they are, even in the face of abuse from mom. But I'll deal with that another time. But if the way you treat your child convinces them that they are less than who God created them to be, they will suffer. Yeah. Your absence or uninvolvement communicates that they are not lovable. They don't have value. They're not good enough, right? Are these the messages that you want to mirror back to your child? You got to think about that, right? Now, as I was preparing this talk, I began to think about my own life as a father, right? So I want to share a little bit about my story so that you can see that even if you are not a deadbeat dad, your good intentions are not enough, right? Your good intentions are not enough. One of the things that really amazes me, and I'm dead serious when I say one of the things that amazes me is how bad I missed the mark in comparison to how bad I wanted to hit the mark when it comes to parenting and being a father. Like, when I look back at the father I intended to be, and I compare that to the father that I actually was, I'm blown away. How they look so different. See, the thing is, I didn't know a lot of what I know about life now. Like the things that I know now, I didn't know this. I didn't know what I know now about raising children, especially boys. Even though I grew up as a boy, the way I was raised taught me nothing about how to raise a boy. No, just like all of us, I did what I knew how to do. But it wasn't enough because, it wasn't enough to put my children on the path of living the fullest life the way I believe God intended. And again, like my children weren't abused in any kind of way. By most people's standards, most people would probably say that I was an amazing dad. But I simply didn't know what I did not know about growing healthy human beings. And to this day, I can see a lot of my weaknesses, my childhood weaknesses in them, things that I've since healed and fixed, and they're still suffering with it. I take responsibility for that. Why? Because I didn't do it intentionally, but I didn't know what they needed, right? So what I'm saying to you is I had every intention on raising emotionally whole, God-fearing children. But in hindsight, I realized that my intention was not enough. I needed more than intention. So as I was thinking about that and thinking about how to help fathers today, I started to think, what did I need in order to be a better father, right? What did I need to be the father that I intended to be? Like, 'cause I had these intentions, why wasn't I able to walk them out? And me coming up with that, I felt like would be able to help you guys. And so I came up with 3 things that I believe could have helped me be the father that I intended to be. And I want to share them with you. So number 1, if I had a father who taught him how to be a father, then I probably would have had the chance to be the father that I intended to be. Yeah, if I had a father who taught him how to be a father, then I probably could have become the father that I intended to be, because my dad would have taught me how to be a father because of how he parented me and guided me, right? I would have known better, but I didn't get that. And then number 2, the second one, the thing that would have helped me be a better father, if I would have embraced God's wisdom like I knew to do, I could have been the father that I intended to be, right? And the reason I say, if I would have embraced God's wisdom like I knew to do, I've been in church. I was in church at the age of 7. So long before I was a father, I may not have known everything. Clearly, I did not understand the Bible like I do today. However, I knew enough to not go the way that I did throughout my life, right? I would have been wiser if I had been chasing God instead of chasing my sinful desires. And why do I say that? Because some of you are doing the same thing, and I'm trying to help you get off of that road and get on the right road, right? I spent the majority of my young adult years trying to fill the God-sized hole in my soul with women and the approval of people. The thing is, I was prideful, so I had no idea that I was doing that. And if you are a young father, here's what I want to encourage you to do. You got to put your child's needs before your own. Now, that may sound obvious. That may sound, well, yeah, of course, I got to put my child's need before my own. But a lot of fathers don't do that. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen automatic. You got to be intentional with the way you love your children, right? Heal what's broken inside of you so that you can love your child more authentically. The passionate love that you have for your child is not enough to guide you into making the right decisions for them. Right? When I say the passionate love, I'm talking about the way you feel about them. Oh, I just love my child so much, and that intangible passion. Like, honestly, passion is only good for protection. Like if you see them physically in danger, how you feel about them may spur you to do something. Or maybe if, passion may help with provision. Like, I don't feel like working or getting a job, but the way I feel about you makes me know I got to go out and get it. But outside of that, other than saving your life and maybe forcing you to go to work when you don't want to go, your strong feelings for your child won't help them become the authentic men and women God created them to be. It is your practical love, okay? Your practical love, the love that they can see, right? The things that you do. That's the love that they need, right? It's the love you use. That's the love that you use when you teach them how to do life well on the planet. The way you discipline and the way you encourage, right? The way you push and the way you are patient. All of this communicates love to them. And this is the love that they need in order to develop into the healthy, whole human beings that God wants them to be. When you do this, then you are actually loving like God. Why do I say that? Because when you do that, then you're doing what they need you to do, right? Fathers love their children, meeting their needs, even when the child doesn't know that's what they need. See, God saw our need. We did not tell God what we needed, right? He saw the need and then he provided what we needed because he knew we needed it, right? The Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, right? He did that because he knew what we needed. And as a father, you need to provide your children with what they need, even though they may not know they need it, okay? But I'm gonna tell you what some things they don't need. They don't need you to teach them how to dress as much as they need you to teach them how to respect themselves, right? They don't need you to be strict, to teach them, hey, you need to make good grades. They need you to teach them how to care about work ethic. They don't need you to teach them how to be tough as much as they need you to teach them how to be unapologetically authentic, right? Allowing God to grow you as a man through his word and through prayer, I believe is the best way that a father can become the father that he needs to be to raise children to live a life of prosperity and love the way God intended. Now, I'm sharing that with you, and trust me, I get it. I sound like the old man, used to smoke crack, and then now, I'm telling you don't do drugs. I get it, but it's true. Let me share this. Let me share the third thing before I make that last point I was making. So what I said. So I said if I'd had a father who had a father, that would have helped me become the father that I intended. If I had done what I knew to do, which is trust God more than trust me, I could have been the father that I wanted to be. But then this third one, if I would have had a mentor or a coach or a man, somebody to teach me how to be a man and a father, then I believe I could have been the father that I intended to be. See, my pride had me so blind that I had no clue that I even needed a mentor. I didn't know. Like, I got to this place in my life at 51 the hard way. Now, when I say hard way, I've never been to jail. I've never been in the streets, never been on drugs, right? But still, I arrived at the age of 50, financially unhealthy, relationally, emotionally immature, and nowhere, when I say nowhere, I mean nowhere near where I thought I would be at 50. But here's the thing. Why am I surprised that I ended up where I ended up? I know better than anyone that I've lived my life mostly as a carnal Christian, just like some of you, right? But me living as a carnal Christian was good enough to fool people into thinking I was really a man of God. Now, here's the sad part. I wasn't trying to trick anybody to make them think I was a man of God. I had tricked myself into believing that I was doing what I was preaching. I didn't know that I wasn't. So for a long time, I had no idea that I was not leaning on and trusting in the Lord the way that I thought I was. But the reason I'm surprised, so I know all of that, but the reason I'm still surprised that my life looked like it looked when I turned 50 is because I never knew I was going the wrong way. And This is the point. I had no one to tell me. I didn't have another man to say, hey, you're going the wrong way. That's why I'm here for you, trying to tell you, hey, the bridge is out. Don't go that way. Go back the other way, right? I'm going the right way now. But I had to realize this. The reason I'm going the right way now is because after, God took me through some challenges, I realized if I don't get this together, if I don't turn things around quickly, if I don't work hard and smart, then at least 2 generations of Brantleys are going to suffer. At least 2, possibly more. That's not the legacy I want to leave. I want generations of Brantleys, like 6 and 7 generations from now. I want them still talking about what Peepaw did in his 50s. The Bible says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, right? I want to leave an inheritance of love and wealth. Fellas, if you are a father, I want to strongly encourage you to learn from me. Do one of these 3 so that you can leave a lasting legacy for your family, or at least for your children. If you're not with the mom, then for your children, right? Truth is, most of us won't have that first option available, right? Most of us won't have the first option because we don't have a father who had a father who taught him how to be a father, right? Now, for those of you that did have that, definitely learn from him, soak that up, as much as you can get from him, because we don't know how to do life on this planet. I used to say this a long time ago. We don't know how to do life. By the time we figure life out, it's time to go home. We figure life out around 70 years old, but now it's time to leave. But if the folk who are older and wiser would begin to teach the younger people, and if the younger people would listen, because we got to have that too, things would be better, right? You got to decide, and I'm encouraging you to decide, live life the way God says live it. So then you can have his wisdom and you can live well and love your children into an emotionally healthy future. And if you need to, find you a coach or a mentor or somebody, right? Find you someone you can learn from. Find someone who is doing manhood or fatherhood in a way that you would like to do it, and then follow them, right? Pay them what they charge, because the Bible says a servant is worthy of his hire, right? But pay them what they charge and grow. Do the work to become a better man and a better father. Also do the work so you don't stumble over your words. No, I'm just kidding. That's just me. But no, I hope this was helpful for you guys, because parenting, fatherhood specifically, it's at the heart of what I do. A lot of people don't realize the reason that I'm a therapist is actually for children. I just don't see children. But my goal is to work with the parents so that they can develop a safe place for the children to grow up in. Okay? So if this was helpful, do me a favor. Like it, share it with someone who you believe it will be helpful to them. And then next week, we will continue. I may be on fatherhood again. I'm not sure, but we'll see. All right. So until next time, y'all take care.